This is the System Shock Remake's medical demo, a recently released playable demo of a game with a planned release date of summer 2021. If you're unfamiliar with System Shock, you may be acquainted with the games the 1994 title and its 1999 sequel System Shock 2 inspired, like Thief, Deus Ex, the BioShock series, and Arcane Studios' 2017 reimagining of Prey. System Shock and the Ultima series essentially created the immersive sim genre. While the original System Shock and its sequel were developed by the now dissolved Looking Glass Studios, Nightdive Studios later acquired the rights and set to work releasing the games on digital storefronts, with some improvements and modern conveniences, including an enhanced edition of the original game that, among other things, offers modern mouse controls and renders the game at high resolutions and frame rates. Nightdive is known for acquiring the rights to, porting, and enhancing excellent older games that often haven't seen re-releases in years. Games like Turok Dinosaur Hunter, Doom 64, I Have No Mouth and I Must Scream, and Blood, just to name a few. After a successful 2016 Kickstarter campaign and a few bumps in the road, including a hiatus and reworking, the game is finally nearing completion. Both the original System Shock and its remake, or at least what we can see in the demo, consist of the same storyline. You play as a hacker in the year 2072, who just so happened to get himself into some trouble after hacking into systems on Citadel Station, a space station orbiting Saturn owned by megacorporation Trioptimum. However, Edward Diego, a Trioptimum executive, offered to drop the charges against the hacker in exchange for a favor, giving Diego increased access to Citadel Station's onboard AI Shodan by hacking her and removing her ethical restraints. But a get-out-of-jail-free card wasn't the only thing in it for the hacker. Diego also offered a military-grade neural interface for the job, which essentially integrates a computer into the recipient's body. This allows the user to plug a variety of computer hardware directly into their body, as well as the ability to connect directly into cyberspace. We'll get into what that entails later. After the neural interface was installed, the hacker was put into a 6-month coma to heal from the procedure. The game begins as soon as the hacker awakes from their coma, but things aren't as they were. Shodan has become fully self-aware, and without ethical restraint, she's come to view herself as a god. She's taken control of the security systems, computers, and robots on board, and she released a viral agent that mutated most human personnel, turning them into hostile shells of their former selves. All is a direct consequence of Diego and the hacker's deal. That's where you as the player come in, taking control of the hacker as you attempt to survive and stop Shodan from seizing control of Earth by downloading herself to the planet's computers, destroying cities with Citadel Station's lasers, and releasing her mutagen on the population. The System Shock medical demo allows you to play through the first section of the game, taking place on Citadel Station's medical floor. While one floor of many on Citadel Station may not sound like much, there's quite a bit to do and discover here. So what's the overall gameplay like? Well, if you've played other immersive sims, you probably have a good idea. From a first-person perspective, you explore the station, scavenging for supplies and defending yourself from threats. As you explore, you'll find new weapons and ammo, new hardware modules, new items, and a number of communications and recordings left behind by the station's doomed occupants. Being an immersive sim, System Shock is a slow-paced, engaging experience that greatly benefits from immersing yourself entirely in the sci-fi, cyberpunk world of the game. When you start the demo just after waking up from your healing coma, you'll find yourself entirely empty-handed. Thankfully, there happens to be a small storage room just a short distance away, containing a lead pipe and a few hardware modules to plug into your fancy new neural interface. You can find these modules scattered throughout the station, each one giving you a new ability. Just to give a few examples, the Biological Systems Monitor allows you to view your health and stamina information on the HUD. The Navigation and Mapping Unit gives you guessed it, an auto map. And the Multimedia Data Reader allows you to access audio logs, emails, digital notes, and transmissions, which prove invaluable to your survival. Of course, you will need to defend yourself, and your trusty pipe can only do so much, which is where the game's other weapons come in. From rather traditional firearms to futuristic energy weapons to grenades of multiple types. Even the demo gives you plenty of firepower. Like most aspects of System Shock, weapons are multifaceted. You could switch to a different ammo type for your pistol should you happen to have that ammo in your inventory. These ammo types can be more useful in certain situations than in others. The Spark Beam, a gun that uses energy from an energy reserve rather than traditional ammo or cells, can use more or less energy depending on the setting you're using. Using more energy results in more damage output, but of course eats through your energy supply more quickly and can cause the gun to overheat if fired rapidly, resulting in a short cooldown period where the gun can't be used. The Mag Pulse can load up to 3 cartridges at once for a more powerful discharge. It's always a good idea to check for ammo type compatibility and alternate firing modes. Many times they can mean the difference between life and death. Weapons and ammo are far from the only items you can find lying around Citadel Station. Checking every nook and cranny for useful objects is a worthwhile and often necessary use of your time. Snacks and cans of soda recover small amounts of health. Dermal patches serve various purposes, such as health recovery, stamina increases, and boosting combat effectiveness, though most patches have some pretty wild side effects. Batteries restore portions of your energy reserve. Items can be found out in the open, in crates, and on dead bodies. Don't worry, they certainly won't be needing them anymore. Items aren't the only way to recover health and energy. If you keep an eye out, you might come across surgery machines, which recover all of your health, and energy charge stations, which do the same for your energy reserves. If you should die, the demo will restart from the beginning, with the exception of reloading a save or using a restoration bay. The restoration bay is a device that will physically rebuild the hacker's body if the machine has been activated, working as the game's respawn function. And of course, we can't forget logs. Reading and listening to logs, emails, notes, and recordings not only provide you with story information, but is very important for proceeding in the game. These logs will mention things like security codes for unlocking doors, or the locations of items that are required to continue on your journey. Most of the time, logs can be found on or around dead bodies, so make sure to search rooms thoroughly. Shodan keeps watch of Citadel Station through security cameras, so it's only logical to destroy them, reducing Shodan's grip on that level bit by bit. There are certain rooms that are locked behind the amount of security presence on that level. By clearing the level of security cameras, the doors can be opened and the rooms explored. You'll sometimes encounter interactive elements of the station like lifts or energy bridges with buttons that don't function, requiring you to pull a panel off the wall and get to hacking. The two hacking puzzles that I encountered in this demo, puzzles involving completing a circuit and the other plugging multicolored cables into the correct ports, should look familiar to those of you who have played other immersive sims. Finally, we have Cyberspace. As you explore, you may stumble across this strange-looking apparatus. This will allow you to mentally link with Citadel Station's computer network through your neural interface. Cyberspace manifests the network as a simulated physical space, which you can explore through a 6 Degrees of Freedom minigame that's remarkably similar to games like Descent. The digital objects you interact with here can directly affect things on the real Citadel Station. For example, destroying this object in cyberspace will unlock 2 doors on the station. You can also collect software to enhance the abilities of your digital self, which you'll need to fight against programs that will attempt to forcibly interrupt your connection to cyberspace. So how does what we have of the remake so far compare to the original game? In terms of gameplay, they're very similar. Just about every aspect of the original's gameplay has been recreated faithfully here. The exciting thing about the remake is the overall modernization of a game that, admittedly, can be difficult to get used to. Being an early venture into a new genre, and 3D games in general, the control scheme and user interface can be very clunky, especially when compared to modern games like it. The Enhanced Edition goes a long way towards making the game more approachable. There are still elements to the original System Shock that may be difficult to stomach for players used to more modern games. I've always thought this barrier to entry was a shame, because if you're willing to invest the time and effort into learning how to play the original System Shock, you'll discover a deep, immersive experience that is more than worth your time. The medical demo addresses these issues and brings a fresh coat of paint to a game that, in some ways, needed one. The control scheme and UI have been largely revamped, maintaining a similar visual language to the original while streamlining both the HUD and the inventory systems. The default keybinds should be familiar to anyone who has played an FPS or other immersive sims like BioShock, and they definitely make the medical demo a much more intuitive experience than the original. The visuals mimic the stylized, semi-realistic look of the original, complete with the cyberpunk, retro-futuristic tech and environmental design, along with modern lighting that makes Citadel Station as beautiful as it is oppressive. Steam rolls across rooms, sunlight bounces off Saturn and casts harsh light into rooms of dead bodies and bloodied walls. Mutated people eat their former crewmates as hijacked robots patrol the corridors. Broken flickering monitors and emergency lights illuminate areas that would otherwise be bathed in darkness. The medical demo delivers a sense of atmosphere that stands toe-to-toe with its contemporaries, and the game it's remaking, and with the benefit of modern technology can do things the original couldn't. This is aided by the music, a subtle ambient sound bed that is a notable change from the original's ever-present MIDI music. The demo does, however, bring the music up and the energy up with it in some instances, such as during some combat encounters and in cyberspace. Your mileage may vary when it comes to which approach you prefer, but personally I think both work with their respective games. I didn't run into many issues during my time with the demo. The one thing that stood out was what seemed to be a small bug, where dead enemies would sometimes move slightly when I re-entered rooms. I admit this made me jump once or twice, only to discover that it was just a mutant that I'd killed early on. This is just a demo though. Most bugs will hopefully be ironed out before release. If this demo is anything to go by, System Shock's Remake will be a game worthy of its storied franchise and will likely be a joy to play, whether you're new to Citadel Station or returning to take down Shodan once again. If this video piqued your interest, you've enjoyed other immersive sims, or you've played the original System Shock but haven't tried the demo yet, I'd recommend giving it a go. The demo is free on Steam, GOG, and the Epic Game Store, and according to a Kickstarter update by Nightdive, will be available on consoles at a later date. But that's all for now. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time.